Down 422.50 today. This was a tough one. I've been running on little sleep. I felt behind right from the start and I traded like it. Took some aggressive setups, broke some of my own rules, and the result, yeah, it speaks for itself. Let's walk through it. So I overtraded really this session. I took a trade at the pre-market open on LCFY, looking for it to push up and hold. It didn't hold. It pulled back, and I took a loss right off the bat, $20.50. Not that bad, but then I followed it up around 6:30 with GVH with a $54 loss. If I bring that up, GVH, just bring up my actual trades on the screen. So 6:32 in here at, I can't read that, $10.84 up here, and it did push. It did push up to 11.18, and I didn't take it off the table. I thought it was going to push higher, break through to 12. It didn't, and it pushed up here to 11.18, pulled back, pushed again to about 10.99, still not getting out, and then holding, and then it dumped, and I was out down here at down here for over $1 a share loss, and that's terrible risk management, really. Should have been out, as it came back down here. I should have been out at 10.60, breaking down through this area here, or even as it pushed up here, just taking it off the table. It wasn't pushing, and I was in this trade just too long, too choppy. And then I got back in here at 10.35 and was out basically down here, and then it rallied back up to 9.61. Up to $11 it rallied back up to, and I was out at 9.61, just here on the green candle that it exploded on. So really not happy about that. Yeah. So that put me down. What did that put me down? That put me down $130 on the day. So that was a big loss already. And to be honest, it probably should have just cut it there. But then IVF popped up. And IVF was actually a decent stock that did hold. And that on, just so you can see the 9 EMA and the VWAP. So my first trade on this was a decent trade. I got in here around the support on 9 EMA, held through this pullback here. I was in with 100 shares at 394. So just a little bit above the 9 EMA, held through this pullback down to 362, and then it started rallying, and I did a pretty good hold on this, I thought. Pushed up here, and I got out at 469. Just in around this level here, and that was a good trade. That was $75 profit, and a good hold. But my re-entry, I should have re-entered here at 445 as it pulled back, or even in the start of this candle here around 447, pushing up through to that next leg up to 523. I actually missed that leg, and I got back in at 491, just in here. Not a great fill, could have been in a little bit lower, 480, 485, and then got out at 504 as it pushed up to a high of around 512. So good little quick trade there, scalp, and that was $75 profit and $13 profit. that put me back up to about $42 in the red. So I never got back into the green today at all. And then I took a losing trade on IVF. This one here down I got in here around 439, just on the 9 EMA, 20 EMA, in between those, looking for it to retest to push back through the VWAP for a quick trade. It didn't go, and I got out at 423, and that was, a decent stop out. Only down, $16 stop on that one, loss on that one. So good stop out on that one, and I was finally getting a bit more confidence in getting in and out. Here I got in at 433 as it started pushing back and looked for the break of VWAP, and a good read here, getting out at 451, but not entering again down here at 429. This is where I should have entered again, and so I missed that leg back up to 484. Got in here a bit high at 469, looking for it to push up. It really struggled. It had some sellers and it had a wall there around 470, 472, and it just didn't break. So I got out at 467, just not wanting to be caught in a flush. Didn't want to be in the trade for too long. Pulled back, and once again I should have been in here as it pulled away here at around 450, but I was late to get in. I got in at 484 here, and only a very quick trade up to 493. It sort of struggled a bit coming up to 504, so I got out around 493. Only $9 on that trade. But after those trades on IVF, I was only down $33. And that, to be honest, is where I should have left it. I shouldn't have traded anymore after that. I should have just left it alone. It was coming into 8 o'clock, still a bit early, but I hadn't had a very good session, and I was only $30 down. That's where I should have left it. I didn't. I decided to trade HTOO, Fusion Fuel. And I saw it pop up here, and I watched it sort of grind up here and then pull back down to VWAP. And as it broke up through here, I missed this entry here at 1171. I was hesitant about getting in, and then it pushed up here, and I thought, oh, I'll get in. And what happened was I missed the initial push to make a new high up here at 1520, and it came back down. And as it came back down, I realized that my order was sitting there still, and it got filled at 1411. So I held this looking for maybe a retest of the high. It didn't happen. It pulled back, and really it should have been out here at $13. As it broke down through $13, that should have been my exit. It's already down $1 a share, from 1411. But I should have been out way sooner than $13. And then it came back down here, and as it came down here, I was heading to sell on the bid, and my order didn't get filled. So then it dropped down to here, and I kept cancelling and trying to fill it. And I realised that I hadn't set my offset on my bid, so I ended up actually waiting, and it bounced up here from 1112, and I got filled at 1152 on this bounce. So that trade alone put me down another $129.50. So now I was down $162.50, and yeah, I thought I could bring it back, and I ended up trading KSS, which popped up, and I totally botched these trades. I saw it push up through to here and didn't take any of that, didn't take a trade anywhere up here into the open. You know, I had the opportunity to get into here around 17. It was a bit more expensive though, and because my account is quite small, I could only take, you know, fewer shares. Well, I thought I could, but yeah. But here I got in at 19.45, looking for it to push up and keep going up. Didn't, reversed, sold off, and I was in at 19.45 up here and out at 18.19 down the bottom of this red candle. So it basically flashed down there and I was out for a $63 loss. And then back in again here on VWAP, looking for it to bounce off VWAP and maybe push back. Once again, didn't work. Dropped down and I was straight out again when it didn't work, and that was a $30 loss. And then I took my last trade on HTOO to really nail the coffin shut. And this one here was the worst. So what happened here is I got in here as HTOO broke up through VWAP. So I took an entry there at 11.84 as it pushed up here, looking for it to carry on making a high, you know, up through this area here. And then boom, sellers came in and it did push up, like it did push up to around 12.50, and you know, I could have taken it off the table around 12.50, but it was so quick. It went up and then just dumped. And it dumped down here into a halt. And I tried to sell into the halt and I didn't get filled. And then I was waiting for it to come out of the halt here at 10, around 10.53. And I could see the resumption price on my platform. It shows the prices, the halt is in progress, and then so at the resumption I knew it was going to open lower, and I hit my sell key. It didn't fill, it sort of flushed down here, and I cancelled my order, hit it again, it still didn't fill, and it went all the way down into the halt again, and I was trying to sell on the halt level and it still didn't fill. So coming into two halts down, I got stuck in this trade. Coming out of that second halt, I had placed an order at 8.50 below, on the bid below the resumption price that was showing. And as soon as it opened, I basically got filled at the resumption price, I think at 8.50, or around that anyway, 8.50, 8.58, yeah, on the bid. So that trade, $167 loss, which was the biggest loss of the day. So, and then it rallied. Not that I really would have held through that rally, you know. That's, I probably would have been caught in that flush and then that halt down and then been getting out even lower. How I was trading last night. But after that, I just called it a night and walked away from my screen. Not very happy, I've got to add. I was very annoyed with myself, you know, just over trading and then taking too high a risk in those later trades in the open. You know, they were high risk trades on high risk stocks, and you know, they, especially the stock HTOO, when it came into the open, it was selling off, and yeah, it had a pop there up to $12.50 from $9, but it didn't really, you know, I don't even know what the news was on that, whether it had news. So yeah, it was just a bit risky to get in this trade. And then getting stuck in the flushes wasn't helpful either. That was, that was something I've actually never experienced being caught in a halt like that, a halt down. I've been caught in a flush into a halt, but I've always managed to sell into that halt level. So not being filled was, really, really difficult to take. But yeah, pretty painful really. And it was pretty painful to sit there and wait the halt period. Wasn't fun. So that was the end of my trading session. So I ended it down $422.50. And, that really puts a big chunk into my account. Having a small account and, losing that much is pretty drastic. So, I have been up this month, so that's wiped out my profits for the month, around 200, 220, and now I'll be looking at being down a couple hundred on the month. So yeah, being down about $179 on the month to make back. So, I've still got an account there and I'll still be trading, but, I don't want to repeat of, my past mistakes, and that there is a definite repeat of what I've been trying not to do. And I've been quite disciplined lately, and haven't been doing those days where I just overtrade and try to make back, dig myself out of the red. Yeah. So not a good day for me, a day I will be happy to forget. The bot actually traded not too bad. It traded IVF for a $7 loss and actually made profit on HTOO, 441. So, it did pretty well, but it traded HTOO on the front side, and IVF was probably a little bit, didn't move as much as, got choppy at the end anyway for the bot. So, yeah. This was a reality check. Down 422.50, but more than that, it's a reminder that I can't afford to keep breaking my own rules. Today's mistakes weren't just market driven, they were mindset and discipline errors. I've still got an account, but that's a big chunk out of a small account. And, I think I'll need to step back and reset and rebuild, from the ground up again. These are the days that really test you, and, it's something that I've been trying hard to stop doing. But, I appreciate you watching, especially when it's not pretty. Follow us to see what happens next, whether it's a reset, a rebuild, or the end of the road for now. I doubt it will be that. I still can trade, but, I think I'll have to have the guardrails up again, because the last session was a bit loose. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Hei a popo.